Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in the middle of eating one of my Focus gummies. That's right. From sunsetlakecbd.com. Use the code Left is Best. You will get 20% off. 20% off what? You say, oh, well, it could be one of these Focus gummies with CBD and lion's mane and cordyceps, or, well, not before the show, but a sleep gummy with melatonin, or also not before the show, one with a little bit of THC and CBD. Or it could be tinctures. They have a bunch of different tinctures. I've been using every night now the Good Night oil that they have that has CBN and CBD. They've reformulated their melatonin gummies to add a little bit more CBN, I think, in there. That seems to be the key for sleep, as far as I can tell. But they also have CBD fudge. They have CBD coffee. They have flour and keef and, smokables. All of their products are third-party tested. They're a great company, both in terms of their business practices, nothing less than a $20 minimum wage, mostly employee-owned. But their farming practices are also great. They practice regenerative farming in conjunction with the University of Vermont. They the integrated pest management and also no pesticides. They are huge movement partners. They've donated thousands of dollars to things like Strike Relief Fund and refugee resettlement and carceral reform and Planned Parenthood and food pantries and Last Prisoner Project. I mean, the list goes on and on. Great company, great guys. They're up in Burlington or around that area. sunsetlakecbd.com. Longtime listeners of the program, Left is Best for 20% off. Do yourself a favor, folks. Go check it out. And now, time for the show.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder, where every day's Casual Friday. That means Monday is Casual Monday, Tuesday, Casual Tuesday, Wednesday, Casual Hump Day, Thursday, Casual Thurs, that's what we call it, and Friday, Casual Shabbat. The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
It is Friday, May 17, 2024. My name is Sam Seder. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, proprietor of the Uber blog Hullabaloo, Digby or Heather Parton will be here. She's, of course, also a columnist at salon.com. And then Matthew Film Guy I don't know what he's been up to lately, but he'll be here to maybe give us a couple of suggestions on what we can stream this weekend. Meanwhile, South Africa seeks an emergency ICJ ruling as Israel announces more troops headed to Rafah. The first time some aid enters through U.S.-built piers. Back in Washington, Republicans and 16 Democrats pass a going-nowhere bill to force Biden to reverse Israel arms partial pause. Trump criminal trial has a day off as Trump Incorporated hopes they have discredited Michael Cohen's testimony. Biden administration will end new coal leasing in Wyoming and Montana, essentially about 50% of where the coal comes from in this country. I think it's Wyoming 40%, and even West Virginia is only 14%. Democrats secretly sign on to a successful discharge petition to vote on tax relief for losses that take place under federally declared disasters. And the Republican-controlled North Carolina Senate, in fact, this is on party lines, votes to ban the use of masks in public for health reasons. Greg Abbott, governor of Texas, pardons a racist killer of a BLM protester. NATO considers sending trainers to Ukraine. DOJ releases proposed rule to reclassify weed. New York Times report shows outside agitators actually existed during those Columbia University protesters. And they turned out to be millionaire and billionaires who were pushing the Adams administration and Columbia University for arrests. Ron DeSantis scrubs the words climate change from all Florida government documents on a day where its record heat hits that state. All this and more on today's Majority Report. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. As Dick Durbin, superfan on the IM, says, get ready to be bargain-tained, ladies and gentlemen. We got a lot to get to today. First off, I should say Emma's out today. She's got, she's got a personal day. I mean, nothing wrong. Yeah. It's sort of a happy day. She's going to see a graduation. Yeah. But first off, a couple of house cleaning things. First, I want to say to listener or viewer Chris from South Dakota, wishing us a happy Norwegian Constitution Day by sending us a bunch of beef jerky. Pretty good stuff. I actually
help myself.
Yeah, it's you don't have to do that right now. Oh my God, the next sound you'll hear will be Matt chewing. Also, got an email from Jack, who doesn't have the ability to IM in the show, loves the show, and it's his birthday. So happy birthday to Jack. Also, want to give a shout out to students up at Bard College. That's actually where my daughter learned to swim back in the day when she was very young. Some Bard students are occupying an administration building, I think it is there, what they called Ludlow, and have renamed it Shema's Hall in honor of Shema Rifat al-Arir, who's a daughter of the poet Rifat al-Arir, who was killed by Israeli forces in December. On April 26th, Shema was killed I'll just read from their statement. On April 26th, Shema was martyred by the Zionist regime alongside her husband and 2-month-old son. As students continue to occupy Shema's Hall, we'd like to reflect on Bard's popular university for Gaza. They have had an encampment for 12 days, and they say they have created a space for political education and a community rooted in solidarity. It has served as a place of continual political protest and a reminder as students we have a duty to learn about Palestine and resist injustice. Their demands include Bard College adopt and abide by a set of ethical investment guidelines. One would imagine you would already have that, particularly as a liberal arts college. And they want that to be established by a committee that is made up of representatives from across their college community. Here, just play that video. I mean, good for them.
Palestine will be free.
Bard College, you will learn.
Bard College, you will learn.
Refugees will return.
Refugees will return.
Bard College, you will see.
Bard College, you will see.
Palestine will be free.
Palestine will be free.
Bard College.
So folks who are up in the Hudson Valley area can stop by there and show their support for those students. Good for them. I mean, there's been mixed success with at least getting administration to sit down and engage in this topic. This, of course, also coming off of that story out of the New York Times about what was behind the really violent response by the police, by peaceful protesters at Columbia. I'm sorry, this is from the Washington Post. According to communications obtained by the Washington Post and people familiar with the group, a group of billionaires and business titans working to shape U.S. public opinion of the war in Gaza privately pressed New York City's mayor last month to send police to disperse pro-Palestinian protests at Columbia University. Business executives, including Kind Snack Company founder Daniel Lubetzky, hedge fund manager Daniel Loeb, billionaire Len Blavatnik, and real estate investor Joseph Sitt, held a Zoom video call on April 26 with Mayor Eric Adams. About a week after the mayor first sent police to Columbia's campus, a log of chat messages show. During the call, some attendees discussed making political donations to Adams, as well as how the chat group's members could pressure Columbia's president and trustees to permit the mayor to send police to the campus to handle the protesters. This is according to chat messages summarizing the conversation. Asked about the Zoom meeting with chat group members, the mayor's office did not address it directly, instead sharing a statement from Deputy Mayor Fabian Levy noting that New York police entered Columbia's campus twice in response to specific written requests from university leadership. Any suggestion that other considerations were involved in the decision-making process is completely false. And then, of course, they tried to make it like this is the insinuation that it was Jewish donors plotting to influence government operations is an anti-Semitic trope. Well, there's another trope that we can employ here, too. Daniel Lubetzky, Daniel Loeb, Len Blavatnik, and Joseph Sitt, Shondas for the Goyim, we would say, back in the day. They're worried how that looks. Maybe they shouldn't do it. Maybe, I mean, the idea that a bunch of billionaires have a direct line to the mayor in this instance.
The Zoom call trope I haven't heard before.
Exactly. So there were outside agitators there. It's just they weren't the ones actually at the protest. And this also coming on the heels of, was it the Post or the Times that did that piece on, CNN did a great piece on identifying all the people who were responsible for the violence at UCLA. And spoiler alert, it was not the protesters in favor of support of Palestine. Meanwhile, let's just look at this. It's Friday, so let's have a little bit of fun. There was a House Oversight Committee markup hearing last night. I think part of it was about trying to maybe impeach Garland, or it's unclear to me what they were actually meaning to do.
Broadly, it was like filing a contempt charge against him for not releasing the audio of the special counsel.
Oh, that's right.
Interview with
Her
Biden.
interview,
Correct, yes.
right. And I guess they did this late at night last night because they desperately wanted it before Friday. And James Comer, I'm sorry. Like, if I was a Republican or a conservative, I'd be pretty mad at this guy because he is a total clown show. He can't seem to do anything right. He tried to impeach Biden, and all he did is he got one criminal arrest and indictment, and that was from his star witness got indicted. And now he's got this crap fest here. All right, this comes in three parts. The first part is Marjorie Taylor Greene. Of course, I lost that document you gave me. The first part comes from Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh, there it is. And AOC going at it. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene is mad at Congresswoman Crockett, and you'll see how she responds to it. I mean, you remember when Marjorie Taylor Greene was drunk before she got into Congress, and she was with a couple of her friends and going in and like trying to
Yell through the mail
flap at AOC's door.
Smell
in
the
Congress.
booze through the mail flap.
You could smell the booze from the video, actually. It's the only scratch and sniff video we've had in a long time. Good.
Mr.
Chair
Chairman,
recognizes Ms. Green.
I'd like to know if any of the Democrats on this committee are employing Judge Merchan's daughter.
Oh, pause it. We should say that is a reference to the judge who is hearing Donald Trump's criminal trial. Remember, Marjorie Taylor Greene was very, very mad that she wasn't invited to be a surrogate out in front of the trial, and Mike Johnson was. And this is her way of basically auditioning for Donald Trump to get invited so that she can get in on the mix. I mean, this is like the level of thirst that comes from, there must be something. I mean, look, there are definitely people, Democrats and people on the left who have this, but it is so fundamental to being a Republican or a conservative, regardless of whether it's in the media or in Congress. She's literally doing this to convince Donald Trump to invite her down there. All right, so go ahead.
Judge Merchan's daughter.
Nobody
Please
knows.
tell me what that has to do with Merrick Garland.
Is she a porn star?
Oh, Goldman. That's right. He's advising. Okay.
He's advising who? What?
Nobody knows what she's talking about.
Do you know what we're here for? You know we're here about
just
AG.
I don't
Point
think
of-
you
point
know
of
what
order.
you're here
President.
for.
Well, you the one talking about. I guess
I
you
think
still
your
stuck in the
fake eyelashes are messing up.
No,
what you're
ain't
reading.
nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order.
Mr.
That's beneath even you
regain order of your committee.
Order.
Please. There's a point of order.
We have a point of order. Mr. Lynch, state your point.
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to ask the parliamentarian if your conduct here in raising money in connection with this hearing is referable to the Ethics Committee within this hearing. Is a motion in order to refer your conduct and your abuse of
It's not a
process?
point of order. not a
Mr.
point-
I do have a point of order.
Pause
and I
it
would
for
like
one second. Just to be
move-
clear, Lynch is talking about a fundraiser that Comer sent out. Send me money so that we can get Merrick Garland to a contempt thing, which is really not supposed to be the way that it works. So Lynch is saying, can we see if that's a violation of the Ethics Committee? And then here is AOC wanting to strike the words of Marjorie Taylor Greene, which obviously had nothing to do with the hearing at all, and it was just her way to
More censorship from AOC.
exactly.
And your abuse of
It's not a
process.
point of order. not a
Mr.
point-
I do have a point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Green's words. That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you
meeting will
attack the
suspend.
physical
Meeting will
appearance of another
suspend.
person?
Are your
Move
feelings hurt?
her words down.
Aw.
Oh, girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play. with
Baby
me.
girl? I don't
We
think
are going to
so.
move, and we're going to take your words down. Thank
I
you very
second
much.
that motion.
So who will have to pay us?
And kudos to AOC for not having for not saying get the F out of here. I mean like I don't know what you do in that situation. I don't know how I would contain myself, to be honest with you, but go ahead. This is a little
The
bit
committee will reconvene. Miss Green has 4 minutes and 21 seconds. There's a motion. Miss Green, do you wish to strike your words?
I have 4 minutes and 21 seconds to speak.
I think we have to do the motion first, and then unless there's another motion, then you'll be recognized again. But I believe there's another motion coming. So You agree to strike your words?
Yeah. I'll
Okay.
agree.
Ms. Green agrees to strike her words.
I believe she
Chair
needs to
recognizes
apologize.
Mr.
No. She
Perry.
needs to
Okay,
apologize.
hold on. Then after Mr. Perry's going to be recognized, then Ms. Green
I'm not
has 4 minutes and
apologizing.
21
Well, then
seconds.
you're not
reserve the right to
striking your
object.
words.
I am
Mr.
not
Chair,
apologizing.
Now let's go. Come on, guys.
Come on, guys.
Why don't you debate me?
Mr. Chairman, the
minority-
minority.
pretty self-evident.
You're not.
Yeah, you're not.
Out of
You
order.
don't have enough
You're out of order.
intelligence.
Chair recognizes Mr. Perry.
Okay, move to strike
I'd like to
I
strike
move to
those
strike the
words
lady's
as well.
words.
I would like to strike
The
those
lady's
as well.
words again.
That's 2 requests to strike. That's 2 requests to strike.
Oh, they cannot take the words.
There's another motion to strike her words again. Please
All right.
get
Okay.
your members under
Here's the
control.
correct priority. Ms. Green, do you agree to unanimous consent to strike your words?
I repeat again for the second time. Yes, I'll
All
strike
right.
my words,
That-
but I'm not
all right.
apologizing.
Without objection. Without
Not
objection.
apologizing.
Chair
Reserving the right to
recognizes-
God. And this is all part of her show. Honestly, this is literally, we just have to sit here and have our government taken over by an audition to be one of Donald Trump's cronies out in front of the courtroom. All right, and here is is this where Crockett comes back?
So
now?
then they vote and it fails. So that's what Crockett's asking about in that context.
Oh yes, Crockett now has a question about the vote.
No order.
Who's
It's me.
Ms. Crockett?
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging personalities, correct?
What now?
Look at Raskin's face.
I
Go
make a-
back.
I
Do
make a
that
motion-
again.
What now?
Do Raskin's face.
That
Look
would
at
not be
Raskin.
engaging in personalities, correct?
Go back. Go back.
If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
What now?
Chairman,
I'm
I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's a
Hold on.
part of it.
Trying to find clarification on what qualifies.
Chairman, motion to
I had
strike
no
those
idea what
words.
you just said.
We're not gonna do this. Look, you guys earlier literally just said
You
yes.
just voted to do
Y'all did it
it.
first, so you
You
don't want to
just
talk about
voted
it.
to do it.
Order.
I'm trying to get
Okay.
clarification.
Look at calm down. Calm
No,
down.
because this
I
is
would
what
like to
y'all
get
do.
through proceedings.
So I'm trying
Hey,
to get
Ms.
clarification.
Crockett, you're not
Y'all wanna
recognized.
play
Ms.
games,
I can't hear you with your
and
yelling.
You don't want
Calm
me to
down.
Be,
Will
no,
you please calm down?
Don't tell me to calm down.
Calm down.
Because y'all
Please
talk
calm
noise,
down.
and then you
You're
can't
out of
take
control.
Because if I
Look,
come,
Chairman,
if I
can we
come and
send her
talk
outside to
shit
take a
about
break
her,
for 5
y'all
minutes?
gonna have a problem.
Mr.
Order.
All right, Chair.
I know why
Okay.
you're
Order.
acting
Chair
like
now
that.
recognizes.
Okay, that was Luna, right? And she apparently had voted against striking the words from the record, and then she's coming around going like, "Well, you can't say that." And then so
Hits her with the bar.
there it is. I got to run for Congress. That looks like too much fun.
I was just remembering, like, the UK, they have parliament or
Yes.
prime minister's questions.
Yeah.
We need more of that.
Yep. Yeah, it would be nice if it was a little bit more ordered and structured.
But we're just
James
starting.
Comer, what a shit! This guy can't do anything.
A what now?
What? It's unbelievable. In a moment, we'll be talking to Digby, then film guy Matthew Film Guy. First, a couple of words from our sponsors. Very hard not to run into reports on the benefits of fasting. It's not just weight loss. It's mental and physical performance. It's gut health. It is also just revitalizing your cells after a couple of days. There's different stages of fasting. And but one of the difficult parts about the whole fasting thing is the whole not eating thing. Well, that's why Prolon was created. Prolon is a revolutionary plant-based nutrition program that nourishes the body while making cells believe they're fasting. And there are 3 cycles. Again, I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know. I was deep into this when I did the fast. Like, I don't know, it was like 2 months ago or something. It was researched and developed for decades at the University of South Carolina Longevity Institute. It is backed by leading U.S. medical centers. Prolon helps promote healthy blood sugar levels, support cardiovascular health, and reduce abdominal fat. Prolon isn't a diet. Prolon is science. It is science based on Nobel Prize-winning discoveries in medicine. And this all starts with Prolon's 5-day program. Snacks, soups, and beverages, all designed to keep your body in a fasting state. It is unlike anything you've ever experienced. I had never tried anything like this before. And for me, the idea of like the cell regeneration that happens in like days 4 and 5, you go from like one stage where you stop burning, I think it's like the sugars that come in, then you go into ketosis, and then you go into a third phase in like day 4 and 5, where you're actually sort of like regenerating your cells in some fashion. You can go read it. There's a lot of research on this that this came out of. And the amazing thing about it was that for the most part, I actually was like fine throughout. I thought like it was going to be a disaster. And I think I had more energy that week than I've had in ages. I think I may do it again in like another month or two. But either way, it's no wonder why thousands of doctors now recommend Prolon to support healthy blood sugar and cardiovascular health, because it makes it possible for you to achieve this. It's fasting, but with food. I remember when I lost that, like the chocolate crisp bar on like day 4 for my like lunch, and that was devastating. I think my kid ate it. Anyways, right now, Prolon's offering the Majority Report listeners 10% off their 5-day nutrition program. Go to prolonlife.com/majority. You can read all about it there. We'll put a link in the podcast and YouTube descriptions. Also, are you aware that you are probably eating and drinking roughly a credit card's worth of plastic a week? It's true. The film around your dishwashing pods, it's made out of plastic and it melts away, and apparently
We'll have to watch
gets
this
into
with my
our
hands.
water supply. It breaks down, gets into our water supply, and it generates hundreds of microplastics that we end up ingesting. Blue Land set out to do something about it, eliminate the need for single-use plastic in the products we reach for the most. I mean, I've been on this kick for quite some time to get rid of plastics, both because it ends up in the oceans. Something like 40% of the world's plastic has been produced in the past 10 years. It's unhealthy, and it's a huge pain in the butt to carry this stuff home from the market. Blue Land uses no single-use plastic in any component, from bottles, tablets, and wrappers to shipping. Their tablet packaging is fully compostable. Their products are effective and affordable. Their dishwater tablets are proven to perform on baked on, burnt on stains. No rinse aid is needed. I can confirm, because at one point you just give up when your kid doesn't rinse the dish before it goes in. So it sits on there with pasta sauce that's been, sitting in there for 24 hours, and these tablets work. And they come in a little metal tin. You buy a refill pack, it's big. They also have spray bottles, bathroom, window, and general purpose cleaners that the bottles are tinted. So you know what they are, and they're labeled, which is seemingly obvious, but genius. And then you refill it for just a couple bucks with these little tablets. Blue Land is trusted in over 1 million homes, including mine. You can get even more savings by buying refills in bulk or setting up a subscription. Their subscriptions are customizable and convenient, so you never run out of your most used products. Apparently, we don't use the window washer much in my house, but the everything cleaner is a constant use. To celebrate Earth Month and Blue Land's 5th anniversary, Blue Land brought back all their favorite hand soap scents from the past 5 years into one best-smelling limited edition, pretty earthy, lily mint, honeysuckle dew, strawberry rhubarb, jasmine moss. Take your pick and say goodbye to single-use plastic. Or you can use my favorite, which is no smell. Blue Land has a special offer for listeners right now. Get 15% off your first order by going to blueland.com/majority. You don't want to miss this. Blueland.com/majority, 15% off. That's blueland.com/majority, 15% off. Links will be in the podcast and YouTube things. And just a reminder, it's your support that makes this show possible. You can become a member today at jointhemajorityreport.com. And don't forget, amquickie.com. Great way to get 5 minutes of news every morning to get on top of things. Quick break. When we come back, Digby will be with us. We are back. Sam Seder on the Majority Report. Emma Vigeland out today. The dulcet tones of the Digby theme song. We're almost down to we don't have many people who have theme songs anymore. But
I'm honored.
Heather Parton, writer at salon.com, and also, of course, the proprietor of the Uber blog, Hullabaloo. Always great to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Sam. Good to be here.
All right, let's start. I know you've been doing a lot of coverage of the Trump criminal trial. We just played a clip of Marjorie Taylor Greene in the Government Oversight Committee, which is ostensibly trying to subpoena or hold into contempt Merrick Garland for not releasing the special prosecutor's tape where he interviewed Joe Biden to prove that he's old or something. I don't know exactly what that was supposed to do. But Marjorie Taylor Greene took the opportunity to essentially audition. She was mad that she was left off the travel team to go and sit out in front of Donald Trump's courtroom and essentially go around the gag order. And she was trying to prove that she could do it better than Mike Johnson. She was very pissed that Mike Johnson was there. And
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, and so I just give us what you've got on this trial, because for me the funniest part was that they seem to be dressing like Donald Trump in some type of like way to indicate that they're going around the gag order.
Well, I didn't necessarily know that it was a way to go around the gag order, but which of course is what they're doing. But it's also, it's just, this is the uniform now, apparently. All they need is a red hat to really bring the whole thing off. It was stunning to see them all dressed in that blue suit with the red, with, the standard Trump outfit costume, apparently. I guess we all know what we're going as on Halloween. This whole thing of them traipsing down there, I actually called this ahead of time. I'm shocked. I'm not usually very good at predicting anything, but I did predict that when Rick Scott turned up, well, actually it was prior to that, Trump was whining to anybody who would listen about the fact that nobody was showing up to support him. And that includes the the supporter, any protesters. And in fact, he's been lying and going out there and saying they're all here, but they won't let them in. But they're being left out because there's nobody there. I mean, there's 2 or 3 cranks with a Trump flag, and that's about it. And so he was upset, and he was saying that he wasn't getting enough support, and he wasn't getting enough political support. He felt like people had not really stepped up. This was all in the shadow of that big fundraiser that he had down in Mar-a-Lago where he called up had all the VP wannabes, contenders show up in front of a bunch of rich donors, and he paraded them around like it was the Miss USA pageant.
I was going to ask, did they have to wear bathing suits?
Thank God that was not required, because I don't think anybody wants to see that. But
There's still time. There's still time.
There's still time. Yes, he hasn't picked yet. I mean, there's still going to be one more event. But so he had them all down there, and they were all doing their best Mike Pence impressions. And so when Rick Scott showed up, I'm going, oh, they've heard the call. And he showed up last week, and I said, well, just watch. All the VP wannabes are going to be here next week. They're all going to show up. And lo and behold, they did. And you had, Doug Burgum, the North Dakota.
Put the picture. You can see them. They're all, look
at it.
Mike Johnson, to his credit, is wearing a red and blue tie.
Right.
Instead of just a red tie. But look at the Vivek. And who was that? Donald's? And
that's Donald's, Burgum, Vivek, and then Corey Mills, a rep from Florida.
Corey Mills, they're all wearing the Donald Trump outfit. It's just bizarro.
It is weird.
And Jimmy Vance did the same thing too when he was there.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird. And in fact, they've even admitted, I can't remember who said it, but I read somewhere, one of them said, yes, well, we're doing this to show solidarity with Donald Trump. I mean, it's twisted. These are U.S. senators that we're talking about. Well, I mean, Corey Mills and Donald's are congressmen, but that's even so. I mean, these are national elected officials.
Well, they're adults too. Supposedly.
Yeah, they're adults. Yeah, supposedly.
That seems to be the bar for me.
Yeah. Well, that's about as, I guess that's as much as we could hope for, that they would know how to dress themselves personally. And Matt Gaetz showed up. He did the same thing yesterday. They have come down there with the intention. There are 2 parts to this. The first, 3. The first is the VP wannabes, led by J.D. Vance, and Doug Burgum came down there. And, Tim Scott's going to have to really step it up here because he's been missing the boat. I'm sure he'll be there on Monday to show their solidarity and to sit behind Trump. Now, keep in mind that in a normal trial, the people sitting behind the defendant would be the family. But that's not really happening because it's such a disgusting trial, and Melania is nowhere to be found. And the only kid that's turned up, isn't that funny? She didn't. But even in a normal trial, honestly, in a normal trial, even someone who is accused of something like this, I mean, they come out for serial killers. They come out for accused rapists. The family will come and sit behind them, and the defense attorneys normally really want them to do it. Much less a defendant who's running for president. You would think that the family would just stand up behind him and say, this is a witch hunt and we're here for our father, but no, or our husband. But no, they're not. Eric's the only one who's shown up, and he's usually hanging around with the VP wannabes and the rest of the sycophants. And so that's part of it, is what they're showing up for is to show support, sitting behind him in the courtroom, that as if they are his family. They're his cult. They're not his family, but close enough for Trump. So they're coming for that. They're also coming to do the audition for the VP and to see how stridently they can support Donald Trump. J.D. Vance came out and said, well, I'm just here as a friend. We're here as friends. We're here as people who support Donald Trump in his time of need. And then, of course, the big reason that they're there, and really the one that is just most stunning that they're actually doing it, is to, do a end run around the gag order. They are saying out loud all the things that Trump is not allowed to say. And it's pretty grotesque what they're saying because, Trump and the rest of them, it's a witch hunt. It's, the prosecutor's crooked. The judge is, in the tank, whatever. They've actually gone out there and insulted the jury. They've gone out there and they have gone absolutely overboard on condemning the judge's daughter. I mean, they're going after his family in a way that is really pretty stunning. And that includes Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, who, to show his individuality, and belief in personal freedom, he wore a blue and red tie instead of a red tie because he's special. You know,
He's a big boy.
he's important. Yeah, he's an important guy. And he was he went gangbusters after the judge's daughter. And they're all making a fake claim that she's making millions of dollars as a lobbyist or something. That's, which isn't true. So this is what
to be
they're
fair
doing.
to Johnson, Trump did basically intervene on his behalf with Marjorie Taylor Greene on the vote to boot him essentially and to vacate. And this is you really couldn't write and I feel like maybe there has been some writers, and I'm thinking like I can't remember the name of that guy, but like the Magic Christian or something like that. The guy who wrote that this type of thing where you would have all of these politicians show up dressing like you. I mean, this is like This is like the way that you would write it in a sort of satirical fashion. These authoritarians.
Exactly. Terry Southern or somebody like that, one of those guys. The true satire, it's quite unbelievable. And even I, with all of my cynicism and I have have absolutely no doubt that the right is at this point, that the Republican Party is capable of anything. Even that even surprised me, because I have to say that when they wore the outfits and you see these pictures, the picture that you put up there was, and by the way, that particular picture, this is a thing that they do. Apparently, they all show up. They go into a holding room with Donald Trump. They come into a different, all these politicians come into a different door than the public does. So it's not like they're a member of the public. They come in, and then they all, as they're going into the courtroom, Donald Trump comes out and he stands in the hallway and he makes some ridiculous statement, and they all line up behind him every morning, standing there. And it's creepy, it's kind of like this weird, it's very creepy. In fact, some movie the other day, it was, I can't think of the name of it. It's some horror movie that they've got out. They were doing some viral promotion, and they showed up in the protest zone, and they're like monsters, and they have these strange like sheets, hoods over their head and stuff like that. And they're sort of standing there in a line in the background at the protest. I thought it was pretty clever, because people were going, what the hell is that? That's what these guys are like. They're like zombies standing behind there. It's very bizarre. And of course, it's just the blatant just degradation of any sense of adherence to the rule of law or any of the normal rituals that usually go around something as serious as a criminal trial. It's serious. And I get, they'll do the same. And if there's ever a federal trial, or there's the Mar-a-Lago espionage, documents trial, if those were going on, they do the same thing, by the way. This doesn't have anything to do with the fact that it's the New York hush money trial. This is just defending Donald Trump, no matter what, and subverting the gag order that he is under, so that they can go and basically threaten witnesses and threaten the judge's family and the jurors. And that is just sick. It's really sick. And these guys are all, I shouldn't say guys, there's some women there too. Lauren Boebert made quite a show.
Did Boebert show up there? Was she?
Oh yeah, she was there.
Marjorie Taylor Greene must be enraged.
She must be so upset. And I think you're right. I hadn't even thought of that last night, that it was it was, hey, remember me? I know how to bring it.
Oh, 100%.
Don't you want me there?
She had gone on with Bannon 2 days ago and said, like, what's Mike Johnson doing there? That's a city, that's a municipal case. We can stop the Jack Smith thing. That's a federal one. He should be back down here doing it. And then all of a sudden she's bringing up in that committee about the judge's daughter.
Yeah.
And that's what she was doing. That was just like, somebody clip this and send this to Trump, and maybe she'll get there on Monday. Here's
wouldn't be
more
surprised.
of these clowns, all again.
Look
dressing,
at them.
And
so it's Anna Paulina Luna, Andy Ogles from Tennessee, Matt Gaetz, Andy Biggs from Arizona, and then Eli Crane from Arizona, and Boebert's right next to him. There's one more behind Biggs. I just don't recognize him.
I wonder, Mike Pompeo was down at Liberty University, giving a speech. Maybe we have a clip of that. Do we have a clip of that? He wasn't there, but he's trying to, I think, get back into the running. Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Here's Mike Pompeo, who apparently is in contention for another job in the next Trump administration, if there is one. God help us. And here he is at Liberty University, just so that we can catch up on some of the band is trying to get back together.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And he's got the Govney going on, or the Ozempic. That's going around in those circles. Here he is.
I made two decisions in my life as a young person that changed it forever. First was enrolling at West Point and being lucky enough to get in. And the second one happened at West Point as well. It's where I gave my life to Jesus Christ. And we are particularly great because our founding principles, the things that makes this nation unique, are tied to fundamental Judeo-Christian truths that you all know and are living out. And it's for this reason that our country will always be under assault by dark forces that seek to tear us down. We can see this. You all are going to come into a world where Russia and China and Iran, they're all eager to chip away at our Judeo-Christian founding. They want to see an America in decline. They want to destroy the very freedoms that we are celebrating here today. And they want to drive our nation away from the Lord. We can never let that happen.
Okay, I mean, I bring that up only because, when you've got a top national security contestant who's talking about this country is all about protecting our Judeo-Christian values from the dark forces. At least he was kind enough to throw in Russia, China into the Iran in there. But of course, there's a reason why he's talking like that as stuff is going on in Gaza and Israel, and making it clear where he's going to stand on these issues.
Oh, there's no doubt. Yeah.
But the Christian nationalism that is tied into this is Mike Johnson is up there, and the Democrats saved him. Was it the beginning of this week or was it last week? From the motion to vacate. And I think they did so because probably as, payoff from the debt deal on some level. But this is a very scary time when you've got like a crew of authoritarians going down to protest essentially out in front of this criminal case. And the sort of like convergence of Christian nationalism around these clear authoritarians. Give me your sense of like, what are the implications of this case really ultimately? I mean, we dip into it, but we don't follow it that much because my feeling is that he's not going to go to jail. If he gets convicted, he's going to be out on bail for a while, and they're not going to put him in jail before then. He's figured out a way to avoid jail with the gag order. How much do you think this is going to implicate the election, if at all, regardless of what happens?
It's hard for me to say. I mean, look, first of all, it's hard to believe that it wouldn't, because, this is a criminal trial. If he's convicted, the idea that the Republican candidate for president is a convicted felon would be kind of a shocking, unprecedented sort of development. But then what isn't when it comes to Donald Trump?
Right.
So I don't hold out any hope that this suddenly the country will be shocked into reality and go, oh my God, this is terrible. We can't do that. So I don't know about that. I do think there's a possibility, and this is just from what we're seeing, not in the polling, because the polling, I don't even, pay that much attention to it at this point, but the elections that we've had, the primary elections that we've had over the course of the last few months, and the special elections that have happened this year in 2023, show that there is a group of people who are leery of Donald Trump. Now, they are people who...
You're talking about the Republican primaries.
The Republican
Nikki Haley,
primaries.
The other day in, was it in Maryland?
Maryland.
I mean, she got something like 20% of the vote. She wasn't even on the ballot.
No,
I think
it was a closed primary. So the idea that these are Democrats, or that the Democrats are meddling in the primaries. I mean, they could be in some states, but this is across the board. I mean, even a place like Nebraska, I mean, that she is getting in, high double digits or rather, double digits. And that is surprising to me at this point, because we're dealing with Donald Trump. Now, any normal, you might sort of dismiss that if it was normal politics, where there's a disagreement over some kind of a policy, or there's some kind of a protest vote against Donald Trump because of some, or there was another candidate that they just really loved, like in 1980 with, Ted Kennedy, that there was a group of people who just fanatically loved the alternative. But that's not really the case with this. This is just, I mean, Nikki Haley, nobody loved Nikki Haley. She was just the last person standing, and she's the one who got the votes of the people who who weren't happy with Donald Trump. So just, not to belabor that, but it tells me something is within the Republican coalition, that there is a possibility of some people on the margins shaking loose because of what's happening with the trial, and the idea that you're seeing these guys traipse down there in their little red tie uniforms, and that that the cult of Donald Trump, which of course encompasses most of the Republican Party and apparently the entire Republican establishment now, it is completely on board with this, that there may be some people around the edges who might be affected by a conviction. What I wonder is what happens if he is acquitted, or if there's a mistrial. And that's certainly possible. I mean, this case, I mean, anything can happen in any case. I mean, if it was, a slam dunk, you probably wouldn't even have a trial, right? I mean, it would just be a guilty plea or something. But, there's a good possibility that he'll be acquitted here, or that they'll split the baby and decide that the case is really a misdemeanor and the felonies don't matter. Or there might be a mistrial. There could be one or two people on there that just go, nah, I'm not really buying it. So when that happens, I am really wondering what goes on there, because it should, you would think would, galvanize the left, or the Democrats. I shouldn't call it the left, but the Democrats. I just wonder if it will just, it'll be so enervating to see him get away with it one more time, that people will just kind of throw up their hands and go, what is the point here? Why am I bothering? Well, I worry about that.
I guess my feeling is, I don't know. I think I don't think it's going to have that impact. I mean, because on some level, like, there is nothing that we can do. I mean, this is why I don't really spend too much time covering it, because it's really up to the judge and jury at this point, and sort of like some sensibility outside of the fact. I mean, the guy's obviously guilty of fraud here. I mean, it's obvious.
Of course.
And
he's also guilty of being completely unfit to be president of the United States. And this just, we know that, but this, now it's in a formal legal setting, where this stuff that he did, this is the guy who came out and has called the media fake news from the moment that he came down that escalator. Fake news, fake news. This trial has proved that he and a tabloid gossip monger, David Pecker, the head of the National Enquirer, the publisher, actually created fake news.
Yes,
they put together fake stories about his rivals and put them in the newspaper. That is fake news. I mean, to me,
that's like the Ted Cruz. You're talking about, like Ted Cruz's
dad. Cruz, Marco Rubio was in a pool with a bunch of guys doing drugs, apparently. And of course, Hillary Clinton, that went on for months. You know, this was literally fake news that they concocted. And Pecker, you know, he testified to that. Michael Cohen did. They put those stories together. Trump was thrilled. And, you know, yeah, let's do the Lee Harvey Oswald thing, you know, I mean, with Ted Cruz. And here's this guy who said fake news. So, I mean, that kind of thing, you know, I know it's all baked in and we've seen this guy for years and nothing new under the sun. But still, it's something to see in a formal setting that being, you know, brought out under oath with people are actually testifying,
you
know, in front of a judge.
All right, so I want to just pivot because, you know, we got this, we're going to have debates, which I think was not a, I mean, I think it would have been hard to imagine having no debates, but I think it was definitely a possibility. Joe Biden comes out, challenges Donald Trump to a debate. One's in June. We've never had that before. Yep. I mean, it's before they're actually the nominees. And then one in September. And I can understand the idea, like, we want to do this before early balloting happens. Although I suspect that's not actually the reason. I'm not sure I know the actual reason, to be honest with you. But it could be before early balloting, but it's hard to imagine that, you know, the debate is going to change anybody's mind per se. But I can't help but think that really the reason, the idea behind having it in June is because I think I am of the mind that the trial is actually helping Donald Trump only because it's keeping him off the campaign trail. And like, unless you're like, the stories about Trump are about everybody around him except for Trump. All Trump gets is that 60 seconds out in front saying the same old thing over again, as opposed to, like, let the American public see this guy out there again and remember what,
I agree with you.
why he was voted out. And I have a feeling that the Biden people want to get him back in the news early as possible.
I agree. I mean, and I agree totally with the idea that him being kept off the campaign trail, him just doing these sort of canned, you know, press avails, not even avails, these sort of little, you know, statements in the hallway at the courthouse. I think that's helping him. I do think that helps him because, I mean, if you don't, people have, and this is showing up in the polling all over the place, that, you know, that people have some weird sense of nostalgia about the good old days when Donald Trump was president. And that's because they've forgotten what it was like when Donald Trump was president. It was not good. His approval rating was terrible through his entire presidency. I mean, not that Biden's is any better, but it's not like, you know, Trump's was great and everybody was just super happy. And so they need to be reminded of that. And I think you're right. I hadn't thought about that, but I think maybe, I'm sure that's part of the calculation, that they need to get him out there. Then people need to see him, because the fact is that if you do see him, that is, you know, I watched his whole rally over the weekend, and he is, you know, he's not the same person that he was 8 years ago. He is not, his act is not as fresh, let's just put it that way. And he does not seem to be, you know, very together in terms of, you know, his, I don't know if it's the stress or his age or he's got something wrong with him or whatever, but he does not present the way that he did. And I think that people need to be reminded of just how, you know, what a train wreck this guy is. And, you know, I think Biden will do fine in the debates. You know, he's actually not bad. And I mean, Biden's, you know, kind of a terrible, you know, speech maker, and in a lot of ways, but he's pretty good in debates. I mean, I remember that in 2008, that, you know, he was the one who got off the line about Rudy Giuliani that was, you know, sort of stuck with him, a noun, a verb, and 9/11, you know, he said, you know, he can be pretty good. And Trump, of course, will not prepare and won't know what's going on. And, you know, hopefully the debate has been structured in a way, which it sounds like that Biden really did get what they needed on that, by, you know, apparently no audience, which is really important. And also the idea that they can cut off the mics, because Trump was absolutely outrageous in the last debate that he had with Biden in the 2020 debates. So, you know, I think it's a good idea. And I think it's good, you know, that Biden's polling bumped up after the State of the Union when people saw that he wasn't really drooling and falling down on his face, which is what everybody was anticipating. And apparently, I just read this today, that Google searches on Biden and age dropped precipitously after the Supreme.
That was the one thing
State of
that
Union.
the State of the Union did for him, is it changed that
Right.
that whole narrative. So what do you make about having it so early, though? I mean, if part of it is this idea, someone just I am saying that maybe this is a function of getting locked in to the DNC, for the DNC convention,
Yeah,
but
it's
there's
locked in. I mean,
it's
yeah,
locked in.
it's locked in. That's
there's
not going to happen.
I mean, look at the numbers that he's getting in these primaries, and
No,
it's
not
really uncommitted has really been the biggest challenger to him. And that is, largely a function of not largely, it's totally a function of, I think, of what's going on in Gaza. But that is, if anything, I think it's more, they want the ability to take part of that convention online and have it much less relevant in
that's interesting. That's interesting.
For TV, because I think they rightly are concerned about protests.
For sure.
I mean, Biden is speaking at Morehouse this weekend.
Yeah.
At the commencement, and the president of Morehouse has said, "I'm not going to call the cops on protesters. I'm asking people not to protest, because if they protest, we're going to stop the commencement.
Right.
We're just going to stop it right in its tracks and walk away." And my God, I mean, if I'm Biden's people, I'm like, can't we just do the cops and keep people from coming in, or can't we search everybody? Or and I don't know if that commencement's going to go through, and it's going to be, it's going to create, hopefully, I want there to be as much pressure on Biden about this as possible, but I would imagine they don't want this with the convention. They want as little attention on the conventions as possible.
Sure. Well, there's also another thing, and I think you're right about that. I think they are trying. I hadn't thought of it, but you're absolutely right. They are trying to make the convention less relevant, and maybe less of a television event, so that they can preclude any kind of big disturbances that could shake things up. There will be protests, whether they like it or not, and they will be covered, whether they like it or not. So that's happening. The media is not going to ignore the protests. They just aren't. So I don't think that that's necessarily going to work. But, they'll do what they can, I guess, to try and, keep it from being the main story. But I also think there's another thing, which is also part of the polling, which is that a lot of people have not been convinced that Donald Trump is actually going to be the nominee for whatever reason, whether they're not paying attention, or they don't really understand how politics works, or they think that there's some kind of mystery or suspense about whether or not Trump is actually running. Maybe it has to do with the trials. Some people think, if he gets convicted, then he can't run or something. So I think the Biden people find in their polling that for those who have not been convinced that Trump is going to run, if they become convinced, they get sober up real fast and make a decision to run to go to Biden. So they may want to do that, to just have it be a formal kind of
get Trump
event.
out there early, so that you're not waiting until October till people realize that there's an election going on.
Yeah,
because it has been. I mean, that to me makes a lot of sense, because I have to say that this now being 04, 08, 12, 16, 20, this being the sixth presidential election, and you're in the same boat. This is our sixth one in this sort of business, as it were. And I don't recall one having this little interest. Sort of around the, and part of it is because the primary really never developed on either side in any real meaningful way. And we've never had two presidents before, and two people that I think are so sort of universally disdained in some fashion, or unpopular. And it just seems like people are just staying away and ignoring this, which, at any other time, I would have been good, we should only have a 4-month presidential election instead of this 6-year one that we have. But from the perspective of the Biden campaign, I would imagine they're running on a referendum about Donald Trump. And it's much harder to have a referendum about Donald Trump where he's only on TV for 4 seconds a day in the same courtroom every week. I mean, that's got to be, I think that's got to be part of it. But let me ask you this in terms of the way that Biden's running, because there was also a story. I mean, that Times poll that came out, they really hyped the registered voters instead of their own voter model. And, everybody's got voter models and no one knows what it is. And their voter model was, they were predicting record turnout relative to 2020. And again, it's hard to believe that there's going to be more excitement than there was in 2020 because, like I say, nobody wants either one of these candidates.
I really think that's off base.
I just, if it's possible, it's possible. I mean, who knows? I'm not.
It could be.
And
who knows?
But if you look at like the aggregate of the polls, they're more or less tied. It seems like.
That's what they are.
But one of the things that I find a little bit disturbing is that there's a lot of talk out of the Biden campaign that they just don't believe they're in any type of trouble whatsoever. And who knows? Again, the demographics could determine it. The cohorts that Biden won with last time, he's got a lot of margin to, if he won 65-35, 18 to 35s last time, he could still win with 55-45 because there's just so many more of those people.
Right.
Because that generation's gotten so much bigger. But what do you think about the campaign he's running? Because it seems to me there is a huge missed opportunity when you look at those splits in that New York Times thing. All of the Democratic senators running in these swing states are crushing it relative. These are the most vulnerable
Which is
Democrats.
Surprising. Yeah,
it's surprising, but it's consistent with what you said earlier about the way that Democrats are performing in the special elections and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't Biden running against the biggest do-nothing Congress in the history of do-nothing Congresses? Like every day, we just played that clip from what, James Comer was doing. Why are they not running against that Congress on some level? It's like they're afraid to take the focus off of Trump, but he's not around right now.
Right. And this is a perfect opportunity because the Congress is run against Marjorie Taylor Greene, run against Mike Johnson, run against Matt Gaetz. I mean, who likes those people? I mean, other
Lauren
than a small...
Boebert.
Yeah, Lauren, but these are clowns. They're completely, outrageous, kind of performance artists there in the Congress. And I agree with you. It's like a Harry Truman sort of a thing, where you come out, run against the do nothing Congress. And that is a story I think that people are aware of. I mean, from what I can gather, the Republican Congress, the House, is extremely unpopular, in the polling. I mean, this is not a group of people that I don't even think Republicans like these people. At least not, they love Donald Trump, but they don't love Marjorie Taylor Greene or even Mike Johnson or Matt Gaetz. So I think you're right. I think that is a missed opportunity because, it's one of the things, if you want to run a referendum campaign, you can run the Trump is a given, and that will unfold as the rest of the campaign comes. But right now, they do have that Congress that's right out there making fools of themselves every single day, and they're tied directly to Donald Trump. It's not like it's some kind of a separate thing. You can make that case, and I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I don't know that they actually believe that they don't have any trouble in the polling. I find that hard.
Right,
to believe.
I find it hard to believe that too.
I'm
but
sure
they're not doing anything.
No,
as far as I can tell about it.
What they're doing, and there is, they are putting together a very, huge ground operation with offices open everywhere all over the country, and they're hiring tons of people and that kind of stuff. So there is some under the radar sort of stuff that's going on. But on the surface, no, you're not seeing it, and you're not seeing the energy, I think, that what what we really need to see, this kind of energy that, look, this is really serious, folks, and we are out here and we're going to work hard for all your votes. Now, Biden is spending a lot of time in the swing states. I mean, he's been in Wisconsin, he's been living up there so far, and in Michigan, and Pennsylvania too. I mean, those 3 states are vital. He has to win them or he loses. I mean, that just goes without saying. So they are working them, but you're just not feeling that kind of energy. And I agree with you. I think there are ways to go about this with Trump being in the position that he's in that could be quite effective in garnering attention of the voting public. And,
it seems to me too, that one element of why that excitement is sort of muted, or excitement may be the wrong word, or sense of urgency is, we look at the polling in terms of Biden's policy regarding Israel, and the polling itself, the first order, getting votes doesn't seem like it's a massive problem for him there. But what I think is sort of not clear is what it's doing to the activist class, the people who are in charge of these organizations, and the people who are the ones who are supposed to be like, in the absence of what's going on with the Biden administration in Israel right now, I'd be talking about cutbacks on new leases for coal. I'd be talking about the liquid natural gas pause on the export facilities. We would be maybe pushing a little bit more on the student debt relief, and marking where it's happened in some instances. I mean, there would be a whole host of things that we would be talking about. Because on a domestic standpoint, like, you and I have been through this a lot of times. It's hard to point to a president in our lifetime that has done better, and certainly in terms of like labor and antitrust. But it's really hard to, trumpet those things where he's engaged in something so blatant as, setting up these sort of like, I don't know, very, very faded red lines that seem to sort of dissolve about Israel's behavior, and trying to sort of both sides this with his donors, or his own ideological marriage to this project. But it's extremely difficult to do, and I think that's where it's very hard to quantify that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you, I went to a fundraiser not long ago, a couple of weeks ago, for one of the, it was one of those resistance groups that, came out after Trump was elected. And they're, by the way, they're still out there, and they're still doing their work of registering voters and getting people out. But I was at this fundraiser, and the person was there from the group. I might as well name the group. It's called Flip the Vote, which is, they go into these swing states and are trying to flip votes in there. But, I'm in a group of people. I'm on the west side of LA, pretty liberal place. Everybody's, but, these were all people who were just sort of, not particularly politically engaged. And I'm telling you, the Gaza thing was a hugely contentious issue in this group of people. And that had an effect on the person who was doing the presenting, because you could see that they were kind of going, wow, this is an issue. Now, granted, I'm in a very liberal place. There was a lot of probably more informed people than you might find around in your average swing state. I don't know.
But that's the point of activism. I mean, that's the point. The activist class who are doing this are the most informed, and they're the ones who are probably dealing with this more than anybody else.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, this was a very contentious discussion that was had. People were, kind of emotional about it. And this is a group that goes into these, it's the activists in the swing states who are out there trying to convince people. If they are, demoralized in some way, or find themselves just, maybe I got something else to do with my life right now. I'm going to go, or maybe they go protest, or maybe they just do something else and decide not to do this. Now, I agree with you that so far I see a separation between the protests, which I think are sincerely and genuinely out there to change policy. This is an action to change policy. And I think it's having an effect. I think that it has had an effect. I think it gives, to the extent that Joe Biden wants to do anything, that's very helpful to have a very vocal group out there making this demand on him. It makes it easier for him to do that if he wants to. We don't know to what extent he wants to.
To some extent, it forces him, I think, because it's created a panic amongst a lot of the lawmakers too.
That's right. And it's very important that, that is the function of it's the old apocryphal story that FDR said, when they came in and made the demand, he said, well, go out and make me do it. Well, that's what that's what protests are about. These sort of internecine arguments that happen is to do that. Having said that, I don't see any sort of sense that people are in great numbers confusing their strong feelings on that with their knowledge that Donald Trump is, a fascist nightmare, and that, they would instead vote for him. I don't see that happening, but there could be a fall off in voter participation, and that just in this situation, because it's like you said, the polls show a tie, and I don't get the sense that that's going to change a whole lot over the course. I mean, a lot of this is just baked in. We're doing a rerun of 2020.
Well,
so,
there is a difference, and we don't have time to talk about it, but maybe next time you're here. And that is RFK's running mate just gave him another $10 million. This is sort of like very reminiscent of when I think it was David Koch bought his way onto the Libertarian vice presidential ticket back in I think it was in 1980, maybe, or 82. I think it was 80. And she is, she's a member of a one-person club, and the dues are very, very high.
Yes, they are. But she's got it. She's got it. She's got the money.
She's got the money, and if you're going to spend that kind of money in politics, you might as well take a vice presidential nomination.
Sure.
But he's going to be on a bunch of ballots, and
yes,
I don't think he's going to be in the debate, but maybe somebody's going to invite him to a debate. I don't know.
Trump says Trump wants him on. He says, "Come on,"
and I don't know that Biden does, but that's the one thing that is also different. Than this is not a rerun in that way, because this is gonna have some implications. Because even if
I'd love to talk to you about this, because I know you know him, and it would be very interesting to me to hear your take on how.
I don't know if I have any insights on it. We've talked about it a little bit around here, but at the end of the day, I do think that, even with this vote to force Biden to fund Israel more, essentially, Biden can't tie the Republican Party to Donald Trump, or he won't. And it seems to me to be a huge mistake. But
absolutely,
we'll have to pick this up later.
Okay.
Heather, as always, a real pleasure.
Oh, thanks for having me, Sam. Have a great weekend, everybody.
You too. I could talk to Heather for probably like 4 hours about this and any given Friday. And but we've got to spread it out over the course of the next couple of months. Folks, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Matthew Film Guy will be here to instruct us onto both what we should watch and how we should watch it this weekend.
And I will. Okay, I will.
Matthew, film guy. Welcome back. Emma Vigeland, not here today, boycotting your appearance on the program. She's a little bit mad at you taking my look with the glasses, which, it's been a couple of times since you've been on, but every time you come on, it's shocking. You've copied me with the clear glasses.
I'm in the clear frames mafia. It's a growing, burgeoning group of people that I've decided to join.
This is a good sign that maybe it's over and I got to go back to a different color.
Screw you, Sam.
There you go. Listen, I've got a metrosexual reputation to uphold.
This is in Sam's head. I've never seen anybody level that accusation at Sam.
Yeah.
It's out there. Believe me.
Okay, maybe like a Republican.
Around 2004, somebody called him that.
It's true. It's true. Matthew, film guy, what are you up to? And I hope it's important because I got a small room next door full of stuff that was supposed to be on eBay.
What happened to Mila? I thought she was bigfooting me and taking all the credit.
Well, she's not back yet, so I don't know. It's not happened yet. It didn't work out in the way that kids today.
Yeah, kids today. Why can't they be like we were? Perfect.
Exactly. We didn't have eBay, but God knows if I had. So Matthew, film guy, what have you been up to? It's been a couple of months.
Yeah, I was editing a feature film that just got wrapped up. That was a great experience.
Oh, you finished it already?
Yep.
Oh, interesting. Haven't heard from you. Okay.
Yep. It's with the composer and the VFX people now, but my portion is basically done. I may come in for a little bit just to tweak it towards the end of the entire process, but yep, that is behind me. It was a cool film.
We're going to hear any details? Like, what's the movie about? Who's in it? What?
It doesn't have anybody that you would necessarily recognize. It's a very independent film.
Who would I recognize? Nobody.
Yeah, exactly. But you'll hear about it when it comes out. Hopefully it'll get picked up. Hopefully it'll get to some festivals, and I'll have more to tell you about it at that point. But it's like a medical thriller drama. It's
medical thriller drama, you said?
Yeah. It's about a guy who invents a technique for bridging people's blood streams together, and it winds up evoking the memories of the people who are connected. So it's a little bit like kind of like a Flatliners thing, a little bit like the movie Coma. I think I maybe talked about it before when I was on, but it's interesting. It's sort of sci-fi, sort of a relationship drama. So it's got a lot going for it.
All right. Well, that sounds interesting. And so what are you doing now?
Now I am back on my film class extravaganza, which people can sign up for. We just started again. Oh! That's right. I'm actually gearing up to edit another film that starts in July. But in the meantime,
back-to-backers. Whoa.
Yeah. What can I say? On a roll.
Well, that's pretty good. You're being very coy about the whole thing. Don't you guys think he's being very downplaying it a little bit?
Yeah, because it's hard to not get superstitious about these things. They come and go very easily, and you want to just keep it as close to the best as you can.
Is it superstition, or is it just like you're feeling your oats a little bit?
I'd love to think that I'm feeling my oats, Sam.
And I'd appreciate you not to feel them on camera. I'm glad that to the extent that your oats are being felt, there's both your hands.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's exciting. What's this new movie about? Or you don't even talk about it because you don't want to jinx it? I
don't want to jinx it. It's a drama. I'll put it to you that way. It's an indie drama. And I'll leave it at that for now.
Okay. And have you seen anything? Have you been watching anything? Did you see Baby Reindeer? Have you seen that?
No, I have not seen that.
That is actually pretty great. That is actually pretty great. Yes. It's a 7-part series, and it's pretty great. It's the only thing.
So you've been watching that?
I've been watching that. Yes, it was 7 episodes. So it's something I could definitely do.
That's interesting. No, I have not really been watching too much, especially while I'm working on this movie. It's sort of hard to like get my brain into like movie. It's to appreciate a movie without thinking of like the nuts and bolts behind it while you're in the movie making mode. It's difficult for me. But,
so you did not see Fall Guy?
No, I did not see Fall Guy.
That is
let's just stop right now. I have not
Saul
seen
and I went to
anything
go see Fall Guy. It was actually a great movie to take like an 11-year-old to.
Oh yeah, well I would certainly remember the '80s TV show.
Well, it was interesting. They dropped in a lot of like musical stings to evoke that at different times that were almost like complete. If you didn't grow up in that era, you wouldn't have known, and you didn't need to know. But like there was one moment where there was like they played the Bionic Man, that thing where he would jump.
Right.
And of course, it was just Lee Majors was the Fall Guy. And so you had to know that Lee Majors was the Fall Guy and that he was also the $6 million man at that time.
Bank shot of a reference.
Total bank shot. The whole movie was like that. It was very, it was a little kitschy, and it was like a rom-com.
Oh, a rom-com. Okay.
Yeah. Did I say that right?
Yeah. I mean, It's about him and her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I'll remember that.
There it is. I don't even know why we need you here for this. I
know.
Come out with 2 different suggestions and broken down Fall Guy. Great for 11-year-olds.
Perfect for 11-year-olds. No, whenever I get off of working on a movie, I start going back to my copious lists of movies to watch, like classics and things that I haven't seen. So I've been watching like Sergei Eisenstein movies. I watched Ivan the Terrible Part 1 and 2. I've watched, stuff like that. It's trying to get through the Sight and Sound list and so on. So it's not as I'm not watching the contemporary stuff. You should know that by now, Sam. I'm not.
I know. But occasionally you see something like that. I mean, it's not totally impossible to imagine.
No, not totally impossible. Not totally. Yeah, you're
all right. Well, in that case, what should we do?
I just showed an amazing film in my film class that I want to recommend. It's called The Long Day Closes. It's a 1992 film directed by British filmmaker Terence Davies. And you could say it's a magical and moving and really significant film that it doesn't have a traditional narrative structure, but instead is formed by fragments of memories of the childhood of a young, lonely boy growing up in working class post-war Liverpool. And it has a really exquisite style that operates the way our memory does. So it creates a mosaic of sad and joyful experiences with an immaculate use of music and samples from film dialogue that creates.
Are you reading this?
Yes. Is that not allowed?
I mean, we bring you on to get your opinion. We don't want you to read it from the back of the
I
DVD
really wanted
box.
I really wanted to do justice to this. No, this is not from the back of the DVD box. This is it's based on the filmmaker's own childhood, where he was the youngest of 10 children, and it really.
Would you say it's like a lyrical reverie about a young Liverpool boy coming of age in the 1950s among his loving family and the austere Catholic Church? As he enters the, I don't know.
Now you're reading off
the rigors. Yes, I'm reading it from IMDb.
Yeah, well, that's all right. You can go to IMDb. It is those things, but it's the style is the meaning of this movie. It's really the reason to watch this movie is the style. It's got these, poetic tracking shots and dissolves and artificial lighting that it sculpts the imagery and conveys the connection.
You're reading.
I'm not reading. I'm using notes. It's a difference.
All right.
I'm interpolating. But basically, it's a love letter to cinema. He goes to the movies a lot, and it draws a lot of parallels between the church, the schoolroom, and the movie theater through all these different dissolves and tracking shots.
They're all holy places, and they go. I got to say, I am a little surprised. This is not, it doesn't feel like your kind of movie.
It doesn't?
It's just a little bit conceptual, it seems like. And I don't know.
Well, it's actually very visceral in the actual imagery, you know. So it is a conceptual sort of project that he's on, where it's not necessarily a linear narrative, but the moments that are depicted are very I don't know, they're very moving, and it's almost minimalistic in the way that they're portrayed. You know, they're just little snippets. He's got this loving family that he's the youngest, so everybody's much older than him. And there's this way that they interact. It's not quite like Mike Lee, because it's very, you know, sort of this austere or sort of this grand style, but it has this very grounded sort of drama to it that's not necessarily as esoteric as maybe I made it sound, but it's definitely poetic, and it's moving. It's really, really effective. So it's definitely my kind of movie.
And okay, and the name of it is
The Long Day Closes.
The Long Day Closes. All
it's
right.
streaming on Criterion Channel, if anybody has that.
Just Criterion Channel?
Yes.
Oh, Matthew.
What?
That's I mean, that's a pretty narrow. I mean, we don't all have, you know, $12 a month. How much is it a month?
I think it's $10.99 a month.
I don't have $11 a month to do the, you know, one movie that you suggest a month on the show.
I got to say, I have Criterion. It is the best one to have because it's good movies.
Oh, there's no doubt. I'm sure it's the best. But you know, I've got to, I have to service my kid who wants to see stuff
Disney
on
Plus.
like, yeah, whatever it is.
Well, listen, we've already established that you don't watch any of the movies that I recommend anyway, so we're really
Can I
not
get it on
relying
iTunes though? Can I go and buy it and rent it?
I don't think so, actually. Son of a bitch. But you could, if you wanted to buy it, buy 1 month of Criterion Channel, and boom, there you go.
Oh, then you forget to cancel, and then like 6 months later, I realized I paid Criterion. I mean, I like Criterion. I mean, like I had all the Criterion DVDs.
All of them?
Well, no. But I mean, a lot of Criterion DVDs.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, then you should be okay with my recommending a movie from the Criterion Channel.
All right. Well, I guess we've come to loggerheads here. So
I have a question for you, Matt. So when I was in high school, I roomed with a lot of film majors. And I was at a party once, and we were talking about what movies we liked, and I said I like Jason Reitman movies, and everyone kind of looked at me like that was like I told a bunch of metalheads I like the Eagles.
Yeah.
I am really into A24 movies now. If I told like a room full of movie snobs that I was into A24 horror, what would be their reaction?
No, I don't think it's the same as saying Jason Reitman. Definitely. No,
Okay,
I think you're safe with A24. That's a brand that people have respected for a while. I mean, A24 horror is definitely the elevated horror. So that's I think you're safe.
Yeah, I'll watch any of that.
Yeah.
And nothing else. There's no contemporary pop culture that you've been invested in over this time because you've been working so much.
Yeah, I've been working. I've been literally watching old reruns of the Equalizer on TV, like just trashy 80s
Why?
TV. Why?
Is that part of
to numb my mind, just to get something out of
The Equalizer wasn't the 80s. The Equalizer, I feel like, was the 90s.
No, it was the 80s.
Really? Okay.
80s, shot on the streets of New York. I mean, I've been watching the X-Men '97 cartoon and the Enterprise new season of Star Trek Enterprise is my pop culture. That's not necessarily highly recommended, but if you're a Trekkie or a comic book guy, you would like those.
What is the state of the industry? I mean, it is pretty amazing that you got 2 gigs lined up in a row like this, because everybody I've talked to are like, it's never been this bad.
No, I mean, I'm grateful for the fact that I've had these 2 things happen. The first one was just through my agents, the medical thriller. It's called Bridged. That was just through my agents. So that was just a gift from, being connected to the right people. And then this new one is it's a friend of mine, Sophia Takal. She's the wife of the filmmaker who did Black Bear. They're a filmmaking duo, basically. She writes and directs, and so does he. So I got it through her. So it's not what you know, it's who you know sometimes.
Well, that's a big endorsement. I mean, that they would share an editor.
I think so. Yes, that's nice to hear, and perhaps you're right.
Well, all right. Well, Matthew, congratulations. You
Thank
really
you
seem
very much.
subdued. I mean, you really seem subdued.
What should I be doing? Cartwheels?
I don't know. It just there's. I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Sam? What more can I give you? I'm here to give. I'm
All
here
right.
just to
Well,
give.
we've got it. Well, have you seen Unfrosted at least?
No, I have
The
not.
Jerry Seinfeld movie.
Yes,
No?
I'm familiar from your coverage of it. No, I have not seen it. Should I see it?
I feel like maybe that's something we may have to do. As
Did
a
you
group
watch it?
thing. No. Are you serious?
Yeah, no.
I honestly would go and spend a lot of money to buy a program that would allow me to pirate it and then watch it. I'd spend 4 times the amount of a ticket price to pirate it. That's how much I don't want to put $1 into his pocket.
You
But
paid
Matthew,
for-
film guy, always a pleasure.
Same here, Sam. Thank you.
Sometimes, though, a little bit more. I don't know. You just seem very subdued this week.
Sorry.
All right. People
Thanks for
love
having
the editing on Black Bear, incidentally. I did too. I enjoyed that movie quite a bit.
Thank you. I appreciate
still-
that.
that
everybody.
stuck
And
with me.
listen, if anybody's still interested, there's still 7 classes left of my film appreciation class. You can go to the link in my letterbox or on my Twitter to go find the link to sign up for that.
We'll put a link to it. People
Yeah.
should go sign up for this class. Learn
Yeah.
a little bit about film. Maybe, who knows? Maybe you end up being, I don't know, Betty film guy or Janet film guy or Bill film guy. And you come in and, Matthew keeps like phoning it in like this. Maybe, who knows?
I'm not phoning it in. I'm preparing.
You're getting mentally, I don't know.
You might be saving it for the film classes.
That's probably what it is. Just
Yes,
keeping his
that
powder
is-
dry.
That is
All
true.
right, Matthew, film guy, always a pleasure. It was good to see you, buddy.
Thank you, Sam. You too. Take care.
All right, folks. We could, let's do it. I'm a majority enthusiast. Good news, Sam. Pirating is free. I know that, but I
I
wanted
haven't
to
pirated since Obama administration.
It's been a long. I don't know if that's true.
Okay, well, movies.
Folks, it's your support that makes this show possible. You can become a member at jointhemajority.report.com. When you do, you not only allow this show to survive and thrive, but you also get the free half free of commercials, and then you get the fun half. You can IM the show. And also, if you're watching us on Twitch, your Prime membership, as you probably know, gives you an ability to sort of direct some of that Bezos money to us. I think the guy just made $1 trillion the past month or something like that.
Be on the moon in no time.
Also, don't forget justcoffee.coop, fair trade coffee, tea, or fair trade coffee and hot chocolate. They're a co-op in Madison, Wisconsin. They make great coffee. They take care of their suppliers. All fair trade, all co-op, and Majority Report Blend, one of their big sellers. So check it out. Bradley, ESVN. Oh, Emma must be very excited.
Yeah, so I'm sure we will have a lot to talk about on Monday once Emma returns, because the Rangers were able to pull it off and defeat.
Does she have to take sedation? Is she I know
She wouldn't even answer me last night when I sent a celebratory gift, because
No,
I think
she's
she
fine.
has to sort of calm down.
She has to calm down, and then she's afraid to say the word that they actually
Even when they do
did the
win.
W thing.
Yeah, even when they do,
because she's afraid of
secure
jinxing it.
Right,
jinx
so
the past.
But yeah, so we will definitely be discussing the Rangers moving ahead into the Eastern Conference Finals in the NHL, as well as Sam's Boston Celtics advancing into the Eastern Conference Finals of the NBA playoffs. We did a little bit of an NBA NHL.
They're not just Sam's; they're America's.
America's.
Ben Shapiro's.
No,
and
Ben Shapiro's a Celtics fan from Los Angeles.
Correct.
Really?
He is. Yeah.
Ugh, he's just a contrarian. That's
Well,
all.
there you go. Yeah, we rounded up the NBA NHL playoffs, so results from the weekend. We will be definitely doing much of the same next Monday at 4 p.m. YouTube.com/ESVN show if you'd like to catch up and check out some of our clips, but we will be back Monday at 4 p.m.
Matt.
Nick Boland has a piece in Harper's about Big Sky, Montana, which is a really weird sort of, it's not a city, there's not like a mayor. It was a land swap in the 70s, privatization, and now it's like a corporate ski lodge town. So we talked about that and sort of the different labor and capital issues regarding that. Bought up by a Boston-based private equity firm after the great financial crisis. So patreon.com/Left Reckoning to hear us talk with Nick, who's a great Colorado-based writer.
Folks, see you in the fun half.
You are in for it.
All right, folks, 646-257-3920. See you in the fun half.
Oh, no. Are you ready?
Who sent us this?
Anarchy. Alpha males are back. Boys back. And the alpha males are back.
Just as delicious as you could imagine.
The alpha males are back. Boys back. And the alpha males are back.
Just wanna degrade the white man.
Alpha males are back.
I take all of it in my throat.
Alpha males are back.
Snowflake says what?
The alpha males are back.
You are a madman.
And the alpha males are back.
Oh no, Sam Seder! What a fucking nightmare!
We bring back DJ Dinner.
Yeah, or a couple of them. Just put them in rotation.
DJ Dinner.
Well, the problem with those is they're like 45 seconds long, so I don't know if they're enough of a break.